Point 7.2 concerns sampling plans for bulk materials and heterogeneous lots, including mycotoxins. As background, we have at the CCMAS44, the committee reviewed sampling plans under the general standard of sampling and analysis methods and the general standard of contaminants, and discussed about suitability of current approach for bulk and heterogeneous lots, especially for mycotoxins. It's noted that localized contamination, the second one. Yes, okay. It's noted that localized contamination may be masked by composite sampling, increasing the risk of adequate classification, so of conformed decision. The discussion paper presented identified technical limitations in existing plans and suggested exploring alternative methodologies, including Bayesian approaches. An electronic working group led by New Zealand and co-chaired by Germany proposed developing general guidance for acceptance sampling of heterogeneous bulk materials as an annex to the general guidelines on sampling CXG15 in close collaboration with the CCCF. CCMAS45 is invited to consider whether to initiate new work to develop general guidance for acceptance, this sampling plan, decide on appropriate format for such guidance as an annex to the general guidelines of sampling or another codex instrument, and also is invited to inform CCF and other relevant committees of the discussions and request their views on the need and scope of this guidance. So, as you know, sampling is very important to make decisions to protect consumers' health, to guarantee transparent trade transactions, to achieve reliable data at any levels, and also to avoid food waste. The main objective of reliable sampling plans is to collect data from a sample from which is possible to extend the acquired information to the whole population. For mycotoxins, the existing sampling plans under the general standard of contaminants were developed based on assumption of homogeneous distribution of contamination. The working document prepared by the electronic work group demonstrates that mycotoxins may occur in a highly heterogeneous manner. The prepared documents give diagnosis that current plan in general standard of contaminants lack a real risk evaluation. Some examples are given and demonstrate the big difference in acceptance probability. It propose the shift to utility-based approach as balances health risks against economic costs. New methods must be globally applicable and clear and should be simplified by practical guidance to support implementation. Clear coordination at this level is required between CCMAS and CCCF in order to avoid duplication of work. CCMAS should focus on the statistical and sampling design, while CCCF should define acceptable risk levels based on toxicological consideration. Concerning utility-based approach, it represents an important scientific improvement. However, this approach is complex and requires advanced statistical expertise, reliable data, and appropriate electronic tools, which may be difficult to implement for countries with a limited resource. In this document, some gaps are identified, including lack of representative and recent global contamination data, external factors which may impact decision, such as climatic variability between countries which affect contamination, so it can limit the representativeness of data. Also, for analyzed data, we have lack of information on analytical performance by food matrix and lack of data on sample preparation and grading methods. For this work, commodities concerned have a high regional importance, such as cereal, nuts, spice, oilseeds, and other products. This work is very important to ensure both consumer protection and economic effects. The alternative approach, also based on real risk, is very important for resource optimization and reduction of destructive and non-effective controls. But we insist that data should be representative and contain all detailed technical informations mentioned. Future plans also should be clear and simplified with developed tools to facilitate harmonized implementation and should be also accompanied by capacity building action. So we support the adoption of this guidance as an annex to the general guidelines on sampling. We approve the initiation of the new work to develop the general guidance for acceptance sampling plan for bulk and heterogeneous lots with a particular focus on mycotoxins, and we also support implication of committee CCCF and their participation on risk levels based on toxicology. And based on some gaps identified and regional challenges, we recommend to ensure that the scope of the new work includes developed methodology to evaluate the risk of current sampling plans, practical guidance documents related to the utility-based approach, developed electronic supports for calculating risks and utility, and finally developed clear mechanisms for collecting representative data and analyzing the global contamination. Thank you for your attention.